your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Yeah.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, to be specific. Hello, everybody. My name's Brian Engelman, and you're listening to Agree to Disagree here on the TNAM Radio Network. Thank you very much for being a part of this program and for joining us, perhaps for the first day, or maybe you're one of those cats who've been around for the past half decade as we've been building the new American media from beta test to slightly better beta test. And we're about ready to just rev this thing up, supercharge it, steroids, and all of the like, and really take things up to an upper echelon, a next level, a fully formed and functioning firepower. Yeah, I got nothing, man. I should plan.
It's all good. I really like the new music.
Oh yeah, that's. Have you ever heard that one before? I digress. That's a first? Here, let's do that again. Cool, because I was listening to heavy music. This is our song. So this is me on drums. This is my brother on guitar. We recorded like maybe 20 versions of this song. My brother singing on one, me singing on one, a guy named Brandon on another. Hey, man, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I like it, too. I just haven't played too much of... I've been playing a lot of my brother's music and less of our music. So anyway, yeah, that's called Wait by Twist of Nothing. You can look around the YouTubes and maybe find that somewhere. Whoa! What is it, Joey from Blossom? Yep. Whoa! So, got it. I used to do a good one. Anyway, thanks for joining us on the program. A couple quick things. We have 5 years of content. Check it out. YouTube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Click subscribe. Leave some comments. Check out some of our previous broadcasts. Blake, you've been doing shows for what, about 4 years now, huh? Because we met you at the Nevada caucus, right?
Yes, at the state convention here at Reno in Nevada. Yes, that was correct. Yes, we started right around the same time. Yeah, with our radio programs. Yeah, so yeah, about 5 years for me too. We're a little over.
Yeah, Blake's out in Vegas and he caught voter fraud. Long story, you can check out his stuff online. But hey, for everybody that hasn't been on this journey with us for a long time, Blake, introduce yourself in the proper terms. Who you are, where you're from, some of the stuff you cover, where they can stay connected, all that jazz. So we have it out of the way.
Okay, my name is Blake Walley, or Blake the Eccentric. I run the Eccentric Perspective website that I've had for about 5 years. Just trying to get more involved in the media, I guess. Rather than sharing articles, I decided to start making my own, and then evolved into internet radio and other stuff, Little Man on the Street, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it's been quite the evolution leading into 2016. An epic year, perhaps.
And where's the best place for people to... Obviously, we're going to share some of your original works. I know you don't remember how to log in and post it yourself, so we'll have to figure out how to get you a place like in the opinion page when you have your articles that you're writing. We want to publish those here at the New American Media so people can find you through the New American Media. We'll do radio shows from time to time. We'll put them up on the YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. But as far as you directly, is it still eccentricperspective.com or Twitter at eccentric99? Are those the two best places to stay in touch with everything that you're up to?
You are correct, Brian. Those would be the two best spots.
Ha ha! You are correct, sir. Ha ha!
Right, old Joey, Ed McMahon. All right, we're off to a good start.
Man, all right. Well,
all these 80s references. Was it 80s? Is that Blossom? I can't remember. Blossom, was that 90s? I don't know.
Maybe like 90.
Early 90s? Yeah, it was right around.
Hang on. If only we had a device that could access all the world's information at our fingertips. If only.
If only. It's something we didn't have in the 80s.
Perfect. I nailed it. 1990 through 1995. Okay, wow. Hang on. Wait, that's what it's saying on IMDb, but on this one it's saying from January 91. Okay, so the moment the 90s ended. All right, I was close. 1990, not too bad as a starting point. What are those actors up to? Like all of them. Are any of them working?
Where have they done lately? I haven't seen one of those, yeah. You see plenty of those from those, where are they now? Well, I have no idea what Blossom is doing these days, or Joey Lawrence.
No, you know what? Mayim Bialik. I think she's a super genius, actually. I remember reading a story or a profile on her, and she's a legitimate super genius. And she's on that TV show about the nerds. What's that called? Big Bang Theory. So I've seen.
It looks like a good show, but I just don't have time for stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Talking about.
No, let's do a whole show on Blossom. Whoa.
I think we should.
Whoa. Okay, this is ridiculous. We are so off on the wrong foot. Okay, so yeah, check out Blake on Twitter at eccentric99. Check out his homepage, eccentricperspective.com. And be sure to stay tuned to the New American Media because we're going to kind of cross-pollinate and give them a platform to kind of multiply the message. It's just a big party over here. You know, we can connect with people. You said Man on the Street. I'm going to be putting up some video for Man on the Street at the Conscious Life Expo this year. And as well as a couple interviews, Laura Eisenhower and William Henry and let's just say a couple, Dean Ryan, that was a pretty good one. These are all going to go up soon, so check it out, thenewamericanmedia.com. All right, Blake, let's get into this here. You were out again participating in the Nevada caucus. It's a complicated concept for people. Like,
yes, don't ask me to explain it, please.
Well, I have right there. I have to ask you to at least give us as much of an overview about that local one and some of the differences between super delegates, caucuses, regular delegates, coin tosses, card cutting, electoral college, because there are so many people following this going, you mean our system is this absolutely goofy? Like, Vermin Supreme sometimes seems like the most rational candidate running for president this year. That's how wacky it is. But, I mean, anything about the Nevada caucus. Pick it up and just give people the overview. If they're following it, but they're not really understanding the deep statistics of all this.
I live
stuff.
here, and I participated in my second one, and I still really don't know what's going on. So I go and I make a vote. And that's it. You get a ballot, and you determine who you want to, who you think that your party should nominate as their person. And in this case, Trump won in a landslide. And I almost didn't get a chance to vote because I went there and they were out of ballots. And that was just fantastic. So I had to sit around for a while and wait till somebody brought some a fresh stack in, and they still only had a small amount of them, and I was lucky to get one. And I tweeted it out, and that was pretty awesome. And I did get to make my vote count, and that was it.
Yeah, but there are some votes. It's a lot like George Orwell when he warns of, I don't know, the isms, the communism, the socialism, the Marxism, the things that take away your personal liberties with promises of things. It's almost like George Orwell's 1984. Animal Farm. It says all animals are equal. And by the end of the book, when the ism takes over and the whole government changes, it says all animals are equal. Some are just more equal than others. And that's what people are seeing with super delegates compared to caucus goers, compared to just a general straight-up election where Bernie wins in a landslide, and then he ends up having fewer votes because of a pre-organized superdelegate scam. Can you explain this thing real quick? Just the overview of what's going on with the superdelegates, because a lot of people who are new to this and didn't follow Ron Paul last time, the Bernie Sanders people, it's like the Democrats are going through the Ron Paul growing pains that people like us went through 4 years ago to see just how rigged the system is. How much can you elaborate on all that?
Well, it's basically a way for the establishment to screw over the grassroots. So whenever they are threatened by a populist grassroots person like a Ron Paul or a Bernie Sanders in this case, they have their insiders, their establishment people that sit there, and they automatically get to be a delegate. And that's basically what that is. And they're, 90% of them are, I forget the exact percentages, but the overwhelming majority of them are in Hillary's camp. So that is,
It's insane.
That's it. Yeah. So you go in the process, and we got screwed over in Florida with the Ron Paul thing when they changed the rules at the last minute, and that was their way of doing that. And yeah, it's confusing and people don't understand. And then once you get somebody in and you think you can make a difference and shake off the establishment, they're not so easy. They find little ways to keep themselves in power, and that's the way they like it. That's why you have a Bernie winning overwhelming majority in New Hampshire, and then he still loses the delegates because they have a big percentage that go to these super delegates, these insiders. Not fair.
Do you think
that's just the way it is?
Do you think this is doing something good, though? Do you think it's doing something good to wake people up to see just how rigged things are? Do you think more people are paying attention to this, and now that the left side is seeing how rigged Hillary has it, just as much as how rigged, the Romney, McCain, Bush people had it rigged? Talk about that for a second.
Well, yeah, now you're seeing a huge backlash. Now you're seeing there's so many people that are just anti-establishment, and now we had a rift in the Republicans over the last 8 years with the emergence of the Tea Party and all that, and the Libertarian wing, is getting away from the old neocons, the old guard, and now you're seeing the exact same thing happen with the Democrats, and now you've got a lot of the Bernie people that are really hate the Democratic establishment and will refuse to vote for Clinton in the ways that we would vote for, or I'll say myself would vote for Ron Paul, but I had no desire to vote for Mitt Romney. So, but it needs to. The Democrats are really in bad shape, and they need to change. They're already in so much trouble. It's kind of hilarious. And it's time for them to reinvent themselves, or hopefully just both parties just disappear, and then we can vote for people on issues. Right.
I think it's not so much about the parties being in bad shape. I think the concept of having, our founding fathers warned us profusely against having, established political systems. They warned us about this two-party system crap. They obviously had different terminology, and they obviously alluded to it in slightly different nuanced ways because they were comparing it to something 200-something years ago, 240 years ago or whatever. But they were warning against these parties. They warned against central banking. They warned us about so many of the things that are causing the problems that we're looking around going, is anybody going to try to plug the hole on this ship before we can make it to dry land? Does anyone feel like lifting a finger to maybe help us all out just a little bit? I can't even say the Republicans are in trouble, the Democrats are in trouble. I think the concept of two ruling parties that, two wings of the same dirty bird. You can say so many different analogies and metaphors you can use. I just stick with that one, two wings of the same dirty bird. And you know what? As long as they put two puppets up there that they can control, like a marionette, and they got all their strings attached, then they're fine. They don't get. What did Rothschild, the successful banker, the Rothschild, I forget which one. What was
Mayor Amschel or something?
Yeah. What was the quote? It was, "I care not who wins your politics as long as I control the money." And I'm probably butchering that quote as well, but it's something.
Yeah,
along
I
those
wouldn't be
lines.
able to help you, but I know what you're saying, and yes, you are close to that, and I can. I'll see if I can look that one up.
Yeah, thank you. And
ranting.
it's like, just go ahead and put up whatever puppet you want. Fine, you guys can have different arguments about abortion this year. Oh, you can have different arguments about capital gains tax this year. Oh, you can keep yourself divided with this fringe issue, and that's what they do. They keep us arguing amongst each other. Instead of having a chance to kind of unite with each other and see that we're in this together. It doesn't have to be right wing and left wing. Blake and I were talking earlier this week about maybe doing a segment, and who knows, maybe we'll expand on this later. But I view politics a little bit like a circle. So all right, here's a mental exercise. Close your eyes. Envision a circle in front of you. A circle. Now just kind of assume it's like a clock. You have 1 at the top, 3 off to the right, 6 at the bottom, and 9 over at the left, okay? If you
have a 12 at the top? Sorry.
Did I say 1? Yeah, 12 at top. I probably did say 1. I started counting 1.
No worries.
No. I feel like Vermin Supreme out here. I'm speaking another language. I'm a total wackadoo. There's a 1 at the top of my clock. No, there's not. It's a 12. Okay, so start at 12 and take your hands and kind of move them over. 1's over at 3 o'clock on the right, which we'll call Republicans. 1's over there at 9 o'clock, and we'll call them Democrats. So you have the right and the left at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I think what happens is someone like Blake can start off on the left wing at 9 o'clock. Someone like me can start off on the right wing at 3 o'clock. We started at noon, and that's when we were born. That's, and as we started gaining information and learning about history, American history, politics, civics, current events, geopolitics, that's as it spins over, we end up somewhere on the right or left. I was definitely more 3 o'clock. Blake was definitely more 9 o'clock. We thought it would be funny to have a debate with ourselves. We would argue with like the 2000 version of ourselves. It would just take a little bit more time to put together. If we had a producer that could organize the segments properly and put it out, we'd probably have already done that today. But sorry, we have other things going on. We'll get to it. But anyway, I think as you learn more information, Blake, you go from 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and you keep going around the clock, and you're eventually going to meet at 6 o'clock on the backside. I think that might be where libertarianism is. I think... being responsible with the limited money that you take in and keeping out of people's lives and just trying to be socially libertarian while acknowledging several valid opinions on both sides, that's really the only way to govern this nation. It's the only sustainable way to avoid going $20 trillion in debt, just money we don't have. So I think there's some truth to that. People start off on the Bernie Sanders camp, and then some are the Ron Paul people. And I think a lot of them push past the crap and go, oh, hey, nice to meet you down here. Oh, you used to be a Democrat? Okay, that's crazy, but nice to meet you here. I'm glad we're close to being on the same page now. I'm seeing a lot of that, which makes me happy, Blake.
No, it is good. I mean, I don't know if Bernie's the answer because I don't know. Like you said, $20 trillion in debt. I don't think that socialism and more taxes and giving more money to the people that can't spend it is a good idea. But I get where people are frustrated with the system. Yeah, Ron Paul would be a good guy because he would at least audit and hopefully eliminate the Fed, and then we could just probably wipe out all that debt, which would be a good solution, I think.
And they don't want to do that. Did you pull up that Rothschild quote?
Yes, I do.
I tried to run my mouth as much as humanly possible. I think that rant was double the length because I didn't hear you jump in, and I figured you were still looking or something. So, okay.
No, I just let you keep going. I didn't want to interrupt you. So, it's give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws.
Because it's the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. That's the rule. That's the governing system. That's the law.
Correct.
And I guess if you had a rigged system, why would you want anyone else to play? It's like, no. You're in the audience. We're here playing checkers. This is a very important game of checkers. There's black chips and red chips, and we play, and it's a very important game. You can't play. We get to win every time. Either one of us wins every time. Why would you want a third player? Then you might have to sit on the sidelines. They don't want that. Look, I get it. Everybody gets it. But I'm telling you, Blake, if they don't declare a ceasefire, if they don't recognize that we all understand how this is being played, you had a good run, there don't need to be pitchforks and torches and have some really, really, really angry backlash on a totally rigged game. There's a way for everybody to kind of walk away gracefully, and guess what? They got an enormous head start by rigging the game for a few hundred years. Congratulations. Good work. But now you're just going to have to compete a little harder. You're going to have to try a little harder. And some more of us are going to move our way up here. And that means some of you guys might move your way down. But we're going to let the free market handle it. It's not going to be, a game show where I know all the answers in advance. That's what we're talking about in politics. And I think that's why so many people are anti-establishment. Do you feel it equally on both sides, Blake, that the Republicans and Democrats are just completely anti-establishment at whatever cost may come with it?
I'm seeing a lot of people, the Democrats, they're, people that will not, like I said, the Bernie people are pretty much split. They are not going to vote for Hillary if she's the nominee. That's how much they hate the establishment. They're not going to vote for him, which is great.
That is great.
And of course, in the Republicans, you've got a big rift going on between the establishment of Marco Rubio versus the populist of Donald Trump.
Well, and some people like
cruise in between somewhere.
Well, people like Glenn Beck are out, comparing Donald Trump to a dangerous Hitler, and really backing Ted Cruz. And now I get it. Trump, you could see him easily flipping that switch to authoritarian. And you see, there are a lot of good points up there. And you know what? It's hard to refute any of those. However, the one thing we were talking about earlier was about the puppeteering that happens. You put up your pre-selected Hillary, who's already been Secretary of State. You put up your pre-approved Jeb Bush, whose brother and father have run the presidency. Like they know the actual rule book of how the game is being played. Like they're in on the script. They've been players for decades and decades. They've been groomed and puppeted and controlled and blackmailed into doing exactly what they tell them to do. So there is an enormous appeal to put anyone but a Clinton or a Bush in. And people are concerned about Trump, and I think they have a right to be. I think they have every right to be concerned about Trump. But the one thing is that is he really being controlled by the same people, or is he so well off at this point he doesn't give a damn about what happens to it at his own personal business expense? And people are willing to say, look, let's watch him like a hawk, and let's not allow him to turn into a dictator. But let's see if he can actually turn this shit show around. Do you think there's a little bit of that going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry if I'm not elaborating further. Yeah, he's. I don't think Donald Trump doesn't need to run. I think if things were going well, the country was in the right direction, I don't see why he would even bother. He's getting up there in age. He's got all the money in the world. He could do anything, and he's going to deal with the presidency and all the stress and all the that comes with that. I don't think he's doing it for money or power or anything. I think he actually has he really wants to help change things because it has turned into a shit show, if that's what you. I think that's what you said. Yeah, the country's going down bad. It's been going in a wrong direction for a long time, and we need somebody who can actually, solve something and do something. And if he's up to the challenge, then I'm okay with that. But I know there's also there's a lot of libertarian leaning people who are concerned about, yes, he could, you get rid of one establishment and then you give rise to somebody who could be an authoritarian, and that there is that possibility, but I don't think that's what he is going to do. But I mean, that's just my opinion, and I think of all the candidates, he's I was a Rand Paul guy, and then with him out, I think Donald Trump stands out clearly as the best, even though there's certainly a lot of issues that I don't like, and I can't stand with him on all that stuff, and it gets a little awkward sometimes, saying, oh, I kind of like Trump, and, oh, my God, and then and you got to go, wait, well, hold on, I don't like the wall idea, and I don't like this, but, I like this and this.
Wait, you don't like the wall? I don't like his Edward Snowden killing policy. You don't like the wall? Oh,
Blake. I think the wall idea is terrible.
A terrible idea. How dare Disney put up a wall? Why? Walls always work. Why wouldn't they work?
Back in the 5th century against hordes of barbarians coming in.
Do they work at Disney World? Blake, do they work at Disney World?
Yeah.
It funnels people through, so they pay their way in. The right people are inside. The bags have been checked. The basic components, so you're not waiting 17 hours in a line versus waiting 4 hours after spending your entire summer vacation to bring your family out, but you can't even ride a ride because there's too many people clogging up the system, and none of them paid. They just walked right in.
I think there's got to be other ways. Even if they did build a wall, they're going to go under the wall, they're going to fly over the wall, they're going to take boats around the wall. It's just not it's a solution that would have worked against barbarians back in the day. Not so much now, and I don't think that reflects well on us going forward as a culture. Like, what are we doing in the 21st century in this planet Earth? Are we coming together and creating a better world for all of us? Or are we?
How's that working for Germany? How's that working for all the European nations that have been flooded with hundreds of thousands of air quote migrants?
Well, it's terrible, but I mean, did they have walls? No, they're
So you're
there's
proving my
lax
point.
policy.
Well, I mean, if they
Yeah, but that's not going to help because the people are letting them in. I mean, if Merkel's like, hey, yeah, let's just bring them all in, come on, or Sweden or whoever, or
Hey,
Britain
but
or
listen,
England, France.
if
I mean,
if a president, if Angela Merkel decides to bus 100,000 people in through the front door after, fingerprints and background checks and all that stuff, that's one thing. It's another thing to just kind of have no idea who snuck in your backyard. Like, I got a hard time with that. But anyway, we don't need to get into the nuances. I think we're going to have a little bit more time to talk about the wall coming up. But, just for a second, back to the fact that Donald Trump might actually win this nomination, and he might have it completely locked up by the end of Super Tuesday. Go figure. It's amazing how many people have dropped out at this point. I feel like everybody gave it a shot, but nobody really got any momentum. Are there some campaigns you're surprised lasted as long as they have, and are you surprised that some campaigns on the Republican side didn't go longer?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping, Rand Paul was going to be in this race, and then Donald Trump, came in, stole all the thunder, sucked all the oxygen out of the room, and it's been all about him. So, but there's been some positive developments, and I hope he's going to take Rand Paul as a VP, and that's what I can hope for. But I mean, I think the good outweighs the bad, and I'm all on board for the for Trump, if that's what it comes down to, because I just don't see anybody else. I mean, I would say Ted Cruz would be the last guy, just because he's got a very good voting record. I'd like to see him take over the Senate, be kind of a constitutional firewall of sorts. But
that would not be bad to see him overtake Mitch McConnell and lock that down. But he doesn't have a lot of friends in Congress. At least that's what they say.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, that seems to be the word, and he doesn't seem to be able to refute that or have anybody else coming to his aid or his rescue outside of Glenn Beck.
That's interesting.
And the Blaze crew.
Because Ted Cruz, I mean, he stands for a lot of the right things. He might be a little awkward. He might be a little creepy. He might not be eligible because of the Canada thing. I've heard all of these things. Okay, there might be a certain level of maybe 1% to 90%. Oh yeah, that's a big problem. I've heard it all with him. But yeah, I mean, who's left? I mean, you'd give Cruz a chance. I mean, if you had to go Republican establishment, would you go Kasich or would you go Rubio, or are those basically the same?
Thought. I mean,
that is a horrible thought.
Kasich over Rubio, of course.
Wait, why is that obvious?
I just say Rubio is bad news because of all the people that are around him. He is just an extension to me of the Bush administration, and he's got all of the most awful neocons in his corner. And if you just look at the policy of the what do you call it, the New American the Project for the New American Century, and then that's his whole campaign slogan is New American Century. And you look at their policy and the Bill Kristols and Dick Cheney's and Donald Rumsfeld's and the kind of things that they stood for, and the way he's going to run his foreign policy. I don't trust the guy. He's going to be a total puppet. He's going to be the GOP Obama, I guess. And that's a scary thought of the direction that we'd go, and then the people that are pulling his strings. So he's just a scripted little guy. There's a lot of things I don't like about that, and he would be very, very dangerous. And I don't like. I can't stand the Obama administration, but I also hated the Bush administration. So I don't want to go back to that. So I'm ready for something different. I'm not going to be fooled by that.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Ain't gonna get fooled again.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to pull that up. I gotta play that. I just have to play it. I quote it all the time. What is it? What did I say? George Bush. Fool me once. Oh, it's perfect. Comes right up. I cannot be the only one searching for this.
Whoa.
Whoa.
YouTube.
This is wow. Wow. What are fool me? There we go.
Hopefully you can find one without an advertisement.
I know. I gotta mute it real quick before anything comes up. Mute. Is this it looks like it goes right into it. Perfect. By the way, YouTube, this is fair use, so please don't flag this again. You don't seem to understand the concept of news. Okay, here we go.
In my State of the Union, or my speech to the nation, whatever you want to call it, speech to the nation. I know the human being.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is a highlight reel of the George Bush. Oh man.
And fish can coexist peacefully.
Hang on. Who's doing
The
it?
human being and fish can coexist peacefully. And America needs a military where our best and brightest are proud to serve.
I mean,
Drunk.
Our breast and man, George Bush bloopers. Do I really?
Stay. If you're a single mother with 2 children, which is the toughest job in America as far as I'm concerned, and you're working hard to put food on your family, rarely is the question
Man, miss me yet?
asked, is our children learning?
The most important question to ask is
Rarely is the question asked, is our children learning? Too many good docs are getting out of business. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across the country.
Oh man, does it get much better than this?
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas.
Okay, thank God. Man, I found it. I guess if I had time to produce the show, and I could have queued it up to 51 seconds in, but these are all pretty good. But here's the quote I was talking about.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
I'm sorry. It's one of my all-time favorite quotes. I got to hear it one more time.
I don't think you can be. There's an old saying in
that's so
Tennessee, I
good.
know it's in Texas,
So
probably in
good.
Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
He just totally bailed on it. Can't get fooled again. But no, God, why the hell did I even bring that up? We were just talking about GW, or was there a reason I brought that fool me once, shame on you, fool me
I think I
twice,
was
shame
railing on Rubio and the neocons, and then we ended up with,
All right, well, it's the same thing. It's fool me once. I've been down this neocon thing before. Whether you were a Bill Clinton supporter or you're a Barack Obama supporter, you're new to this. Clinton was a little before people really woke up to it with 9/11 and whatnot. Wouldn't you say both people were kind of oblivious to a lot of it under Clinton? I mean, people definitely understood with NAFTA how this was bad, but I think it was really during the Bush administration that the rise of connecting the dots began. Do you think that would be a fair way to phrase that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. There was, some shady stuff done during the Clinton administration, and we didn't feel the effects until Bush was in office. But that doesn't, Bush was just as bad. Well, that was even a lot worse, I would say, just because of the post 9/11 world and the wars that we got into. But yes, Clinton is not the. At the time, I really liked. I was a big fan of Clinton, but now that I see, those policies were a bad idea, and he basically it's lobbyists gone wild in Washington and got us off the. Got rid of Glass-Steagall. I mean, there was something, the housing crisis. There's definitely some things that ended up biting us later. And I don't want to see that return of the Clintons into the White House again. That would be very bad news.
I agreed. But do you think that the powers that be, are so intent on this? Could you end up seeing some sort of brokered convention? That's the new thing people are saying Rubio's aiming for, is to try to get the power play to have delegates switch, make them an offer they can't refuse, if you know what I mean, and kind of rig this a different way for either a brokered convention or an electoral college opportunity to trump what we the people said. Could you see either of those as becoming a possibility this season?
Oh, absolutely. They're trying to figure out every little thing that they could possibly do. They're in overdrive. They're not just going to be like, oh, okay, Donald Trump won. I guess, we're done with the GOP establishment, and we're just going to go home and no big deal. I mean, yeah, you got to imagine the the Karl Roves and of the world are working around the clock trying to figure out how they are going to stop Trump or what's his name, Reince Priebus. Yeah, no, they're absolutely panicking right now because their days are numbered if Trump wins. That's going to just change it's going to change the entire Republican Party.
And they're definitely going to lose their power, which comes losing money, which comes losing the opportunity of future money and future power. It's getting real.
Milking all the suckers in the GOP, all the donors. Yeah, they've been living pretty good.
Yeah, all the money that but it is nice to say. You and I went to Politicon a few months ago, and we interviewed Cenk Uygur, and his whole thing is get money out of politics. Why? Look at what we had. I mean, we have one example of what the Clinton money does in politics. Okay. But look on the other side. Look at how much money was wasted or redistributed to we the people, through commercials and advertisements during these time frames. There wasn't enough money in the world to get Jeb Bush elected. So, sometimes the Yankees don't win a World Series every year. So I mean, do you think money in politics is as big of an issue, Blake, as some other people do, or I
think it has been, and I think that's part of it. I think there's a valid reason for that, but I think now we're getting to this point where people are so upset that and they really are paying attention that it doesn't matter. It's not working this time around, I would say, in this cycle. Because now you've got a legitimate grassroots guy with Bernie Sanders getting his small donations. That's exactly who Cenk is going for. And then you've got Donald Trump on the opposite end is basically saying, I don't care about your money, I just want your votes. He's going to be self-funded, and he wants to help fix it.
Well, what do you think's going on with his tax returns? That's the new thing that he's being attacked on, and he doesn't really have a good answer. Do you think this is some skeletons in his closet that could sink him?
I don't know. I think he's just, like you said, he's, audited, so he can't share it.
Do you believe that? Is that true?
I think he says he gets audited all the time, and I think that's probably true because he's not just anything personal. I mean, the one thing that made him look silly was when he claimed that he was getting audited because he was a Christian. That was ridiculous. Yeah, that wasn't his best moment, but.
But honestly though, when I do think, if I had to in the abstract think Christian, I think Donald Trump. It's the first, battling the Pope in the press, like through TMZ, battling the press through TMZ. That is what I think of when I think Christian. Just for the record.
Right. Thanks, Brian.
All right.
Yes. With the amount of money that he makes and with all the businesses that he has, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he gets audited every year just because of that, because there's just so much money and so much, it's just so complicated to go through a Donald Trump tax return. So I think they're making a big deal out of nothing so far. And I also heard that Mitt Romney there was a big controversy with Mitt Romney when he would release his tax returns, and he waited months. He went right up pretty close to the election, I think, before he finally released
That's
his.
true, yeah, about 6 months from now or something.
And so then he's calling him out on Cavuto and saying, "Oh, we're probably got something to hide" and all this stuff. So I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. But I don't think anything's going to stop the momentum of this Donald Trump train. So
well, if we're talking about momentum of the Trump train, Chris Christie just got on board, and that means inertia. If this thing's rolling downhill, right. I think that just added a little bit of girth, a little bit of weight to the argument. Oh, if you know what I mean. What do you make of Chris Christie jumping on? You have a loudmouth, no nonsense, tell it how it is, little crass and rough around the edges, bully kind of tough guy that's going to take your punch in the schoolyard and hit you back with Chris Christie from New Jersey and Donald Trump from Queens. To actually give two people with that kind of attitude, when people call George Bush a cowboy, oh, he's a cowboy. Okay. What if you put two people like Christie and Trump in charge of a country? What the heck would that look like? Do you put anything into Chris Christie's endorsement of Trump? Do you think he's considering him as a running mate by chance?
That's a scary thought. I wouldn't. I mean, it's cool to get the endorsement. It was great what Chris Christie did to Marco Rubio at the debate a couple weeks ago or whatever. But no, I'm really not a big fan of him, and I wouldn't want to see him as the VP. No, he's yeah, he would be very bad news. But yeah, I see that they're right next to each other there in Jersey and New York, and they both are fairly similar in some certain ways.
Yeah, but both of them, they're so wrong on Edward Snowden. They're both so wrong on Edward Snowden. If it comes down to Trump and somebody, I mean, it's so important to me that the Edward Snowden thing is handled appropriately that I don't know if I could vote for Trump because of that. That might be something that I could.
Wow, are you serious?
I'm dead serious, man. If we don't have a Fourth Amendment, none of this other stuff matters. If we allow creepers into our homes and into our showers and our bushes, around our families and looking at their pictures on their phones, if we allow creeps like that into our personal lives and our phones and our loved ones and our friends, you know what? There is no freedom. So for me, the Fourth Amendment is almost the most important amendment out there. Because I don't care if you're looking for a bad guy. You're not going to scan my 14-year-old daughter's cell phone and find maybe inappropriate pictures and put them up on a database and pass them around to your buddies and jack off to them. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't let somebody near my shower curtain or the windows in my bedroom. Like, that's what we're allowing government to do right now. And yes, it is that important to me where I have a hard time pondering actually voting for Trump because he doesn't understand at least what Edward Snowden did to stand up and protect the Fourth Amendment. Chris Christie doesn't get it, and Donald Trump doesn't get it. So, I mean, for me, that's something that I'm having a real hard time with, Blake. Obviously, Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders will never even sniff anything remotely that resembles my vote. They have a 0% chance. But I just feel like we got to get this Fourth Amendment thing right. What's that?
Sanders, I don't know what his stance on Snowden is, but he might be one that
he could get Snowden right while being a wacky socialist. That's great that you got Snowden right, but man, sorry, you got to have some of the politics down as well. But I mean, that's the beauty of this. I mean, does it feel weird, Blake, or does it feel good? Hang on. In California, I don't get a chance to vote in the primaries usually until it's about over. You have a chance to vote when it still matters. What does that feel like? And do you like the way our systems run, where certain states kind of set the tempo and the tone, and others just kind of sit on the sidelines and watch it happen? How do you feel about that in general?
I don't really get it at all. I don't understand why it has to go in this certain order. And there's a Super Tuesday, or there's there's Iowa, there's New Hampshire. There's kind of smaller states like that, and then Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, and then all of a sudden Tuesday there's just like I forget how many states, but it's a lot. Yeah, it's going to be a huge day. It could determine a lot of stuff. So, but then you got California sitting there. It's not coming up for a while, but California is interesting because it carries a ton of weight and it's a winner-take-all state. Gets all the delegates, which is interesting. So it's still in play. So that might be interesting. I forget when that's coming up. When is that, Brian? It's your backyard. Is it May or something?
That's a wonderful question. It matters so little that I don't even pay attention to it.
Well, it matters a lot if it's a winner take all. But I mean, if Trump, has a good day on Tuesday, then it might not matter. It might be over. I mean, if Trump takes Texas, then it might be.
They're saying that he's going to sweep. He's going to sweep them all. 12 states. 12 states.
Well, I think there's a couple where he's close. He's not technically first, and Texas is one of them.
Yeah, 20.
That's the heaviest state by far.
There are 595 Republican delegates, which is about 25% of the total number that are available on Super Tuesday. Republicans need 1,237 delegates to win the party's nomination. Democrats need 2,383. The states that are voting: Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia. Those are the ones.
Big day.
Yeah. And
Coming up.
Then you got Alaska and American Samoa will caucus for What is American Samoa? I wonder how many listeners, if I go to the analytics, how many listeners do we have from American Samoa? That sounds like Pacific Islander or other, if I checked that box. I regret to say I don't know much about American Samoa.
Can't help you there. Nope.
Moving.
I know that there's some big people make wrestlers and football players.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I think the Browns like to draft them from time to time on the defensive line. Anyway, okay, so we have all that stuff going on. We'll wait for Super Tuesday. Good for Chris Christie. Fantastic. Vermin Supreme might still have my vote. We'll wait and see. I don't know. Maybe I'll end up looking at like Austin Peterson or Gary Johnson or John McAfee or something. Have you given any consideration into those third-party candidates?
I'll wait and see. I mean, right now I'm definitely gonna go for Trump, and if not, I'll have to take a look at that. I mean, if it comes down to like say Rubio versus Hillary, then I'll consider the third party. That's when I'll go, either Gary Johnson or McAfee or whoever else decides to enter the race. Whoever's got a good shot, I guess. Yeah. That doesn't matter. At that point, there's no way I'm going to vote for Hillary or Rubio. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would not vote for. I would not vote for Hillary or Bernie or Rubio or Kasich or Carson. Carson's just like, all right. And
I would vote for Carson.
Do you feel
there's no way he's going to get up there. So
do you feel
he's
like,
a nice man. I don't agree with him on a lot of issues.
Yeah.
He's nice guy, social conservative. He doesn't need to be there anymore. He doesn't need to put up with this stuff.
Do you think it's time for him to go? What about
Absolutely.
Kasich? Kasich
he
as well.
Should have gone already. Kasich should have gone already. But I mean, he had a good showing in New Hampshire, so I guess he decided he'll stick around till Super Tuesday.
I mean, I guess it's elevating the profile of these guys. And whatever. You've already been. What's another couple weeks when you've done this for a year? That's where I'm at. But yeah, you do start reaching a point where it's like, well, it ain't happening, man. You're just splitting the vote here. But that's what we hear every time. Never vote third. But it's interesting because a lot of people were saying that if another Republican got this nomination, they probably expected Donald Trump to mount a third-party campaign and accuse the Republicans of some untoward acts and go for it. But it looks like that's not going to be the case. But then again, if we see a brokered convention somehow in Cleveland, we could expect it to all. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I think it's fantastic. I think it's amazing. I think it's huge. I think it's wonderful. I'm kind of liking it. I said this from the beginning. No more Clinton, no more Bush. No more Clinton, no more Bush. Get rid of the two worst options, and then, like Rothschild, I care not who wins if it's neither a Clinton or a Bush. Something like that. Like, I kind of don't care. I throw the hand grenade in the Bernie Sanders camp. Wow, that would be wacky, but at least he's honest about who he is. Or, roll the dice and toss any of these Republicans in, even Trump. Let's see what happens with that. It would be interesting to watch. But I also, there's another quote that I love. It's, don't vote for Trump because he's entertaining, just like you wouldn't vote for Hillary because she's a woman. And it's like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let's not succumb to that same stuff. But anyway, we're going to have time to follow this and something that you're following. You're following your dream. You're living your dream, Blake Walley. You have decided to uproot your life. You're in Vegas, so you cashed in your chips, literally and figuratively, I guess. And you are now going mobile for the cause of liberty, and you are going to be an independent, roaming media magnate all over the place. And I'm really excited to, kind of bring you in on the radio shows and have you working with the website and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all these Periscope, all these new platforms where we're expanding into. We're excited to bring you along with a lot of these. So kind of set the stage for people because it's going to be a very busy week for you. And this is your opportunity to tell the world what you're doing, why you're doing it, how they stay in touch. It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, first of all, my dream would be to be the guy from was it Ex Machina?
Yes.
Okay. Or just to be some screenwriter or something, some millionaire that you've never heard of, quietly living on an island, writing a movie every few years. That would be more of my dream, or to, just to have a normal life where the country was in a good spot and I could just do whatever. Really, politics and journalism aren't necessarily the things that wanted to do. It's just something that I feel like in a survival mechanism kind of way have to get involved in, because there aren't a lot of good people in government or the media. So I've chosen to kind of volunteered, if you will, to get involved. And I'm taking a step forward into that direction. A huge move. I've basically sold my house and quit my job, and I'm gonna move into an RV and travel around. My plans have changed quite dramatically. I mean, I was going to I wanted to start in Iowa and then go to Texas and Florida and work my way up through the campaign trail, but I think things are going to be a little bit different now. Because things didn't go entirely on schedule with the RV and the truck and getting everything taken care of and tying up all the loose ends. But I am planning on being at the conventions in Cleveland and Philly in July. The big Republican and Democrat convention should be exciting, and I'm looking forward to covering that. And then perhaps getting to spend a little time in New York or D.C. and getting to kind of explore the East Coast a little bit. So, should be exciting or risky or stupid. I have no idea, but I guess we'll find out. So hopefully it'll all work out, and I'll have some good stories to report.
It's a new adventure, man. I mean, how long have you been concocting this wacky idea? Because I've told you something similar in private, and I'll say it now on the air. I said, I how I feel about what you're doing, Blake, it's very similar to how I feel about my brother. My brother had moved out to Los Angeles with me 2005 and left several years ago. Maybe about 5 and 5 or something like that at this point. But anyway, I've told my brother this kind of the same thing that I told you. I said, you're out of LA. Congratulations. You're out of a big city for when this thing crumbles down. But you kind of lost access to all of the things of the big city and this, that, and the other. I know it's a mixed bag. Some good things, some bad things, some whatever things. I said, I'm kind of envious of you, and I kind of pity you. So it's like part of me is like, oh, my God, you're back in Ohio. Oh, my God, seriously, I spent my whole life trying to get out of there. I love it. I love the fact that I was raised in Ohio, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life there is how I mean that. Because I do. I love Ohio. But I don't want to be there forever. So I'm like, oh, God, you're back. But I'm like, oh, man, I'm so envious. You're out of Los Angeles. I can't stand Los Angeles. So it's one of those things. But I told Blake, I told you something roughly the same, was, man, that's awesome. You've cashed out your chips while you still had them before this thing imploded. And about a month ago, we talked to Gerald Celente, who talked about the global economic recession that's about ready to burst here, scare the daylights out of you. But I was like, I'm half just envious of you and jealous that you cashed out your chips, and you're on the road, a mobile command center. You can always have somewhere to live if you had to. You can up and move around. Like it's wonderful. You've consolidated. And then the other part of me is like, oh man, I can't believe you're doing this. Are you crazy? What's your plan when you get back? What are you doing? You're just throwing everything in going to the Salvation Army and just giving everything away, and you're giving your job away, and you're just going, and you don't know what so like it's flip a coin. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. There's some good, there's some bad, there's some terrifying, and there's some super exciting. It's a whole grab bag, but I guess that's with every move, every relationship, if a couple gets married, or if somebody moves to another city, or they take another job. I guess it all probably feels roughly the same. It's exciting and nerve-wracking at once, but what would you say you're most nervous about, Blake, and what are you most excited about?
Well, nervous is that I am a suburbanite. I grew up, playing video games and stuff, so I'm not exactly Mr. Outdoorsy. I'm not a veteran. I don't have I'm not a big skills guy where let me just hook up the trailer and we're gonna go camping for I have no idea. So I'm way out of my comfort zone with this. I used to drive a little Nissan Juke around, and now I'm gonna be, trying. Now I got a big heavy, diesel truck and a big fifth wheel trailer, and I'm gonna go boondocking or what have you. I mean, this is not. This is not, like I said, not my comfort zone. it is exciting, I guess, maybe just to try to, force myself to learn some skills, I guess, be more of a, I don't know, a man's man, old school guy.
By the way, speaking of man's man, we put something on our Instagram. We'll let you know when Blake gets his Instagram up, his Periscope up, his Snapchat up, and his I don't know, whatever the new app du jour is. But yeah, you're talking about a man's man. We shared something on Instagram. It was too funny not to. It was like a birthday cake, and it showed one piece of the cake being cut out, and it was being served on a plate. It was cut out with a hatchet, and it was served on a stump, like on a tree stump. And then on the inside of the cake, it was like a red velvet, but it was set up where the pattern was red flannel. So it was chopped open with a hatchet, and it was like a red flannel on the inside of the cake. It was awesome. It was so freaking cool. But yeah, that's the manly man right there. Chop down something, and it's even got flannel on the inside of the cake.
Oh, I got like old school lumberjack.
Yes,
flannel.
yes.
Okay, I got it.
Total lumberjack, not one of the hipster guys, not that kind of thing. But yeah, it's on our Instagram feed. But yeah, I mean, something really cool. I want you to tell people. Okay, wait. That's the thing you were most nervous about. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. So you're most nervous about being the suburbanite, being thrust into the wilderness, and having to kind of make it on your own and get used to that lifestyle. That's the most nerve-wracking part.
Oh, definitely. But of course, besides what, getting assassinated or something like that, yeah.
Michael Hastings.
Right.
How did Blake get his fifth wheel up to 115 miles an hour on Sunset Boulevard?
Right, just parts all over the place. Like, how did the engine go that way? That's impossible. Yeah.
It went 200 yards in the opposite direction. That's unheard of.
And he was calling Brian right before. He was going, they're after me. I don't know what's going on. I got to go into hiding.
Blake was asking me if he could borrow my car because he felt like his car had been tampered with. Okay, that's very specific. Well, let's just hope nothing happens tomorrow. Oh, my. Something happened tomorrow. Yeah, that's the Michael Hastings story. Look into it. Do some deep research. So that's the most terrifying thing and the most nerve-wracking thing. What is the most exciting thing about selling your home, getting out on the road? You've cashed in all your chips, and it's just a totally new adventure. Any city you decide to go to, guess what? You just drive there. You have all your stuff. Your life is right there. You just say, I don't want to move from here. Or you go around to 20 cities and you go, hey, I liked Savannah, Georgia. That was fantastic. I really dug this place. Oh, I could see myself in Tacoma. Oh, I could totally go back to St. Paul or something like that. What is the most exciting thing for you in this journey?
Well, I think that is it. Yeah, it's just seeing a lot of places that I've, never been. And yeah, I guess any kind of adventures, or hopefully there'll be some, there's cool things to see, or museums, or landmarks, or restaurants, or like all kinds of things that I never know if I'd have a chance to do that I will kind of be able to do, I guess. So, and I'm looking forward to being in. If I can get into the sort of boondocking mode, which I would like to do if I'm able to, is just to kind of get out in the middle of the wilderness. We're kind of surrounded by nothing for miles and miles, which would be really nice. I kind of like that, the idea of the seclusion and just kind of being out in the middle of nature, in the middle of nowhere. That's kind of cool. So, but I mean, yeah, there's definitely going to be quite a learning curve for that. Hopefully I'll, get to do some cool national parks and stuff, and I won't be, camping out in Walmart parking lots and stuff. But you never know, because it's not quite as easy as it sounds. But I guess I'll find out as I go and go on the journey.
And by the way, they say when you go to the Walmarts, it's best to go and introduce yourself to the general manager and say, hey, where's the best place I could maybe set this for a day or two, and I can buy some food from you and just stay out of everybody's way, and you won't even know I'm here. What's the best way to do that? Because, a lot of people go to the Walmart park. Anyway, I've been researching this a lot. The idea of being mobile and being independent is so amazing. I'm such a big fan of it. But I don't know. Do you want to tell people about what your first week is going to look like? Actually hitting out on the open road and what you had on the agenda, at least for the very beginning part of your new journey.
I don't know if I should announce that now or wait.
That's
till
why I'm
afterwards.
asking you.
Maybe
I'm
I
not.
should.
I'm not gonna.
Let's we'll hold up. Well, people will find out in a few days. It'll be hopefully it'll be pretty cool, and then I'll have some pictures and video and audio, and we'll go from there.
Okay. We'll leave it as the cliffhanger. You got to follow Blake on Twitter at eccentric99. And then, let me see if I can.
Hopefully, Instagram coming very soon. Hopefully, I'll start it then. It'll be Super Tuesday. It's gonna be a lot of. It's gonna be a jump point for me. A lot of. It's gonna be where I'm actually out of my house, where I've been nice and cozy for the last 6 years, and forcing myself and going to live in an RV. What have I done, Brian? What is going on? I did not want this to happen, but I guess. This is the way it's gonna go. Yeah, it'd be nice just to get some phone calls. Hey, Blake, love your work. Why don't we, have you? We'll give you a salary. Why don't you come up to New York or Texas or Florida or whatever, and we're gonna pay you to write and do memes and do radio and good stuff. But I'm gonna go independent and try to make this work, and we'll see. It should be an interesting year, and hopefully I'll have lots of interesting stuff to share at the end of it.
You know what? I think this is something. Maybe if you get it started quick enough, it'll be manageable, and maybe even if it's after the fact, it would be as well. But have you thought about making a book out of this, like some sort of keep a journal going in chapter form to kind of chronicle the experience and put like a detailed synopsis of this out after the fact? You talked about being a screenwriter. Oh, it could be.
One of the things I was inspired by was the Hunter S. Thompson book, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail in '72, which is kind of what I was trying to do, is just to go around the country and go to some of these campaign spots like he did, and go on little adventures like that. Maybe not quite hardcore. I'm not as anywhere near as hardcore as Hunter was back in the day. So, but I guess that was kind of a model of sorts to follow, and and I've also just kind of tried to keep my expenses down so I can kind of be able to afford to do this. I wouldn't be able to just go live in some. I was thinking about moving to Colorado and just moving into some apartment, but that would. The funds could run out very quickly, whereas the RV, it can keep the expenses down, and and have the adventure and travel around and go wherever I want, as you say. And hopefully, the little mobile media command center. So be partly for the the campaign trail, and part of it for whatever else what comes up.
Right. Well, think about it. You're paying $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. Paying $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year.
Oh yeah.
Ponder living like that for a year or two or three, and having something nice that's always going to be yours. You're going to own it outright. That's what the tiny house movement's all about right now. It's people saying, hey, what will it take for me to get something free and clear where I can just exist? I don't want to be a slave to these damn bankers. And I'll tell you what, man, my grandparents, they instilled this upon me, is don't go in debt. Don't buy it if you don't have the money to pay for it in cash. And, maybe college is different. Maybe a car is different. Maybe a home is different. Well, you know what? Don't buy the super expensive home. Don't buy the super expensive education. And don't buy the super expensive car. Pay those off as quickly as possible. And then maybe you can live your life and not be a damn slave in the process. So, like I said, man, I'm half nervous as hell for you, and I'm half super excited and jealous of the fact that you are able to bounce so unencumbered into the great unknown. So I'll tell you what, Blake Walley, he's on Twitter at eccentric99, and follow him on his webpage at eccentricperspective.com. Also check out thenewamericanmedia.com, because we're gonna be cross-pollinating his content over here, of course, the radio shows and the articles that he writes and whatnot. Blake, thanks so much for joining us. We'll follow up with you probably once a week from here on out. Sound good to you?
Yeah, thanks, Brian, and pleasure as always. Thank you for having me.
All right, buddy. Well, drive safe on the road. Drive safe on the road. I just lost another friend of mine who was killed in an accident today. So drive safe on the road. And for everybody out there in the TNAM radio network, I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk again soon. Peace.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to Agree to Disagree with Brian Engelman, and this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the NewAmericanMedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really? Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. You know, there are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.